Continue piling on the misery as far as electricity is concerned. Just by the way, before I tell you about our interview, just a reminder of the story at the bottom of the screen, breaking news, stage 4 blackouts from 9 o'clock this morning. Currently still stage 2, about 33 minutes, and we all get plunged into stage 4 blackouts in South Africa. Now, on that, OUTA is calling for a complete overhaul of the electricity pricing system. Currently, consumers are being charged for historical losses. Eskom can ask to increase tariffs to cover those losses due to low demand or low economic growth. But why does it always end up hurting you and I? Essentially, this means that we're going to have to pay for COVID-19 and even load-shedding losses. That's right. Just let that sink in for a moment. So the losses incurred, like now, when the power is out, us as consumers, we have to pay for when the power is on. OUTA's Liz McDaid. That can't be fair at all for consumers. How angry are you?
Well, it's very frustrating to hear that we're now going to stage 4 load shedding. What's always very interesting to me is every time Eskom is asking for an increase in the tariff, we end up in a load shedding situation. And I'm sure that you've had that has reached the media's very keen ears over time. And do remember that we've been sitting with this pricing mechanism for, I think, since 2014 at least, even before. So, and this is our problem. The problem is that Eskom predicts how much money it's going to make, therefore how much electricity it's going to sell. And if it doesn't make its targets in a particular year, it can come back the following year to the regulator and say, well, so sorry, I didn't make that money, but now can I have it anyway? And that means that the tariff goes up and we end up paying extra. So when you think, okay, the tariff was, 10%, and then suddenly next year you get 4% added onto that because they didn't make the money, and then of course they come again for another increase for the following year. So that is what we are saying. It's called the regulatory clearing account, and it's just, as far as we're concerned, a mechanism that doesn't work. It doesn't benefit consumers. And
it doesn't. And Liz, and I want to just jump in very quickly and just ask, help me understand, how do we change this pricing structure, though? Because we're going to get told that if we don't increase the amount of money being paid to Eskom, infrastructure is going to fall over. Infrastructure is falling over already anyway. But it's going to only get worse if we don't pay. So what is OUTA wanting to change? Just help me understand that.
So what we need to do is have a tariff system, because yes, we do need to pay for electricity, but we need to ensure that Eskom is actually doing its homework. So they need to ensure that they are putting the cheapest, most affordable power stations in first. They need to know that if there's load shedding, they are not going to get paid for that. It has to come off. In fact, in this particular one, this is what Nersa seems to have directed them, because they are claiming a little bit less for the load shedding, or less than they should, or than they would normally. So that's it. But what we need is a fixed price trajectory over 3 to 5 years, which is what we are supposed to have, without a kind of a loophole that enables Eskom to come back, which means they have to do their planning like any other business. And if you don't make your revenue, you have to then go back to the drawing board and implement change internally to make sure that you can meet your planned targets. And that's what we're not seeing. What we're seeing is a loophole where Eskom is able to come back and get more money out of the customers. So we do need to drive some change internally within Eskom. And for OUTA, we believe the price signals are a good one. And because if we don't, then they continue to spend money as they've always spent it. And if we can't pay through the tariff, then we pay through our taxes, because government has to bail them out because we need the electricity. So
it's a very tricky situation as well. The money going in, not getting the power out, but you don't put the money in, they can't increase the power. I understand it, and it's very complicated. But I'm hoping that the Eskom CEO is listening to our conversation, Liz, because they've got a press briefing 10 o'clock this morning. Liz McDaid from OUTA, I really appreciate your time. A very good point made there. I wonder what would happen if Eskom did not charge us consumers for all the hours we don't have load shedding. I just worked it out while speaking to Liz. That means today, from 9 o'clock this morning, I'm going to have 7.5 hours of load shedding today. That's 7.5 hours of electricity I shouldn't be paying for. I wonder.